This is your place for all things Grand Rapids Griffins and all things Toledo Walleye. This is the Hockeytown West Podcast with your host, Brandon Cook and Nick Harrington.
And welcome back to the Hockeytown West Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Brandon.
I'm Nick.
We are joined again by the Toledo insider himself, Travis, to talk about the Toledo Walleye and the end of their regular season. But first, Travis, how you doing?
I'm doing well. It's been a pretty good day so far. How about you guys?
I would say it's been a pretty good day. What do you think, Nick?
It's been good. Weather's nice.
Yeah.
Got the day off. I'm still a little sick, so just trying to recover.
Yeah. And I mean, we just wrapped up an interview that everyone's going to get to hear in this episode that I think they're all going to really enjoy. We got to sit down and chat with Brandon Hawkins of the Toledo Walleye, talk a little hockey, talk a little life, talk a little playoffs. It was a good time. So if you're here for this episode, it's after the ad break. So stay tuned. It's coming. But let's jump into our Walleye recap here because they wrapped up the regular season this past weekend, and it was kind of a weird weekend because they were supposed to play Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and they only played on Saturday and Sunday. Their game in Wheeling on Friday was postponed due to flooding in the area, and the game was not made up, which I'm sure the boys enjoyed as well. They didn't have to play a random weekday game this week as they're ramping up for the playoffs, and no one got points out of that one. There was really just nothing. That game just disappeared. So no recap for that one. But we do have a recap for Fort Wayne coming to Toledo on Saturday. Last home game of the regular season, looked like a playoff game from the pictures Travis sent us. And the Walleye win this one 3-1. So Travis, give us the rundown of this game. How did it go? What happened?
Definitely a playoff atmosphere, right? Walk into the building and there's 8,000 white towels on seats. And something kind of unexpected. I got a text from a buddy of mine and he was like, there's towels in every seat. I was like, it's not even a playoff game. I guess it is a playoff game and the playoff warm-up game, I guess. And the fans brought it for sure. It was a very exciting night. Anytime Fort Wayne comes to town, it's a very anticipated game. Fell behind in the second period, but Matt Anderson, unbelievable redirection in front of the net. The defenseman standing in front of the net, getting a redirection goal is probably not something you see every day, but for him to tie the game, and then third period, Sintazo and Keenan pick up 2 goals and put the game away for him. And they had 47 shots in this game, so it just kind of felt like an onslaught the whole game. It just honestly, Fort Wayne's goalie kept them in this game the whole game.
He stood on his head
for a lot of it, yeah. And it was just like, it kind of felt like, man, what's it going to take to get one past this guy? And then the redirection that Anderson had, I mean, it was like he redirected at the hash marks. And it was weird because I think Hawkins was standing out towards the point and he was the one that shot it. So it was like, okay, our forward's playing defense here and our defenseman's in front of the net. But you don't ask how, you just take it and carry on.
Yeah, I mean, 47 shots on goal is pretty ridiculous. Looks like Letterman had himself a good night, stopping 31 of 32, which is good to see. He looks like he's in playoff form already. I don't think we know what the goalie situation will be in the playoffs. I don't think there's a number one starter for the playoffs for this team, kind of similar to last year too, which isn't a bad situation. Letterman's very used to that, and this is Bednar's first pro playoff run here. He did get to kind of sit and watch what happened last year with the Walleye being that third goalie, but he's going to have to play this time, and I think he'll be ready, which is good to see. And in this game too, I mean, Toledo eliminated Fort Wayne, correct?
Eliminated Fort Wayne and set up a date with our rival up north that had our number this year.
Yeah, we'll get to that a little later here, but yeah, it's good to see the Walleye get that win there at home, send the regular season off at home the right way, and head into the next night where they got to take on Fort Wayne at Fort Wayne in what seems like kind of a barn burner of a game.
Yeah, a little bit. Obviously, they scratched Hawkins, they scratched McCourt, and they scratched Gabriel in this game. So a little undermanned in some aspects, but still found a way to win. And you can't ask much more of that. A lot of their college free agent signings stepped up big this weekend, including really in the game on Sunday against Fort Wayne. But even back to Saturday's game, they put the three forwards together from college, and that was their best line. And then you see them getting rewarded on Sunday, getting in with a lot of points, just helping them find a way to win that game.
Yeah, so run us through the goals in that Saturday or Sunday game.
So they fell behind 2-0 in the first period. Second period, Patella. I'm going to go with Patella. I don't think that's right, but I'm sorry. He got his first of the year from Craggs and Centazzo, and then Gressok got his 16th from Gilmore and Wilms. That tied it at 2 going into the third, and then Trenton Bliss got his 27th from Wilms, and then Michael Lyon ended it late, or put a dagger late. But Fort Wayne, they got back into it right away. Real quick response to make it a 1-goal game, and that's how it ended out. I think really just the biggest thing is going into the playoffs on a high note, finding a way to win when they had to rely on some young players to get them through that game on Sunday with scratching, Hawkins for sure. I mean, not having his presence on the ice is a big deal. I think just to see the way that, you look at the guys that are young players that stepped up, right? Wilms had an assist, actually 2 assists in this game. And they end the season on a 14-game win streak going into the playoffs, which they're hot at the right time. I think that's, you want to be peaking at the right time or gaining steam at the right time. And they're certainly on a roll headed into the most fun time of the season.
There was a lot of records that were broken in this game too. So you got 14 game win streak, was the most that they've seen going into the playoffs.
Yep.
To end the season. You also had attendance record, right?
Well, that would have been Saturday, but yes.
That's for on Saturday. On Saturday.
Yep. For the single season, most amount of as a whole, Toledo broke a record for the most attendance through the whole season.
I feel like they just did this last year too. So just another benchmark for them there. And then after this game was wrapped up, and then Hawkins got announced of winning an award as well.
The scoring title.
Yeah.
First Walleye to end the season as a whole season with the scoring title. So that's awesome for him, for the organization to have an impact player like that and to be able to display his skill on a nightly basis and provide offense and just do the things that he does is just unbelievable for the city and for the fans that pay their hard-earned money to go every single night.
Was the guy at second place, was he close or no?
His I think it was Patrick Curry, and he was on the Walleye last year. So he was on the playoff roster last year. I believe it was last year. He's a former Walleye. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't like a runaway. I mean, Curry wasn't far behind him.
I was gonna say, good thing this game didn't factor into it with Hawkins being scratched.
Right.
That would have, if it was closer, you probably would have played, you think?
I don't know. I think it was just trying to make sure that maybe, they get their healthy going into the playoffs and just getting there and maybe giving guys a rest. I mean, Hawkins had played every game all season, so just to give him a night off to even an extra day of rest, probably not a bad idea. Although I'm sure he wanted to play after talking to him today.
Yeah, it seems like he doesn't like to be away from the ice. But I mean, going into the playoffs on a 14-game win streak, like even in this game, like you're down and they're able to come back with a depleted roster, like that you can tell they did not want that win streak to end. They wanted to go into the playoffs. That's 14 in a row right there to carry that momentum there. And it's so different from last season where you saw that 18-game heater happen like February that time. And we didn't see anything crazy like that at the end of the season. Don't get me wrong. They were playing really well at the end of the season, but 14 games in a row heading into the playoffs against a rival team that's kind of had your number all season, you got to feel like you have the upper hand, right?
I mean, I would think so. It's been a while since they have played Kalamazoo. So I think you're going to see Kalamazoo's going to see a different team than what Toledo was in the middle of the season. And if you remember, a lot of those games were through like the rough patch that they kind of went through because they got off to such a great start and then kind of came back to earth a little bit. And now they're back on a roll. And I think a lot of those games against Kalamazoo were early in the year and then during that kind of rough, turbulent part of the season. But I think they're going to see that Toledo's found their stride. They're gelling well, and they're playing well and doing the things that they need to do to play good hockey.
Yeah, rough patch for a team that only had 14 regulation losses all season. Oh man, what a rough patch.
Crazy to say, but I mean, it was there were points throughout the year. It was a little rough. I mean, I think even maybe the players would admit it, but they all the credit to the guys in the locker room, right? They stuck it out, found their stride, and they're rolling again.
Yeah.
It was odd because they started so hot at the beginning of the season. So we're like, oh, wow, this team just literally picked up from where they were last year, went through that rough patch in the middle. And that's when I started kind of, well, why are the wheels falling off? What's going on here? So it's good to see them like finally gelled back. Everything's working. They've got the right players. Everybody's working in the right system now. So probably Coach Two's probably figured out the lineups a little better. Or do you see like big lineup changes with the lines, or
they've dabbled a little bit, moving some guys around. Like I said previously, normally it's Sintazo with Hawkins and Bliss, but they've kind of plug and played a few different players through there, maybe just trying to provide a little more depth through the whole lineup, with spreading that offensive skill out even more. But then this past weekend, they put 3 college kids on the ice together. And man, when they were moving and cycling the puck, it was giving Fort Wayne a real problem. So it's just it's a good thing to see that their depth is just as offensively gifted as the top end of the lineup and can provide that secondary offense that you need this time of the year.
And they can take on Kalamazoo and they can kill them with that speed. Like if they can continue to get around them like that, which we saw plenty of times watching them in Kalamazoo, sure, they didn't win those games, but anytime they had the speed advantage against them, they walked all over them. It was just keeping emotions in check. And when you have to play physical, which there's guys on the team that can do that now, which is good. So Kalamazoo is seeing a very different Toledo team in game 1.
Yeah. And it'll be kind of neat to see them play them because they haven't faced off in quite a few years in the playoffs. So it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, you put the notes here. It was 2016-17. That was the last time they met up in the playoffs.
And that was a really good 7-game series too. I can remember going to that series.
I think this series probably will go the distance though, because every time Brandon's talking about going to all the Kalamazoo games, and Brandon hasn't seen a Walleye win at Kalamazoo. So
I haven't seen a Walleye win in person.
So maybe you should go to these games.
Maybe I shouldn't go. I don't know. I feel like I could break the curse if I just end up making the trip down this Saturday for game 2. I think that's how you break the curse. You just power through and make it happen. So I don't know. We'll figure it out.
You're going to end up in Toledo on Saturday. I just got a feeling.
I'm going to end up on your couch Saturday night. I have a feeling.
That's all right. I have room.
Oh, man. But yes, regular season over. Toledo, just want to give the quick rundown of where they finished. So 71 games played this season, 48 wins, 14 losses, 4 overtime losses, 5 shootout losses, 105 points with a winning percentage of .739. Next closest team in the division was a .59. That's insane. Goals for 289, goals against 209. Also an insane goal differential. And obviously, like we said, ending on a 14-game win streak with 809 penalty minutes on the season, the second lowest in the Central Division. So good to see them well-disciplined. I'm excited for this playoff run. So let's talk about these playoffs, right? You have a whole bunch of stats here, but you got Kalamazoo. And during the season, the Kalamazoo went 9-4 against the Walleye here with a goal differential of +11. But like we said, the time that Kalamazoo and them played, the majority of the games were December, January, where things weren't as consistent as we would have liked them to see. So this series is going to be really interesting. You got the first game this Friday in Toledo and Saturday in Toledo, and you got Wednesday is game 3 in Kalamazoo. Then the following Friday, the 26th, is game 4 in Kalamazoo. Game 5 would, if necessary, would be Saturday in Toledo. Game 6, if necessary, would be the 30th, a Tuesday in Kalamazoo. And game 7, if necessary, would be May 1st in Toledo. So overall, I know we've talked about it, but how do you feel going into this? Do you think this is going to be one that goes the distance? Do you think this is a I don't think it's a sweep by any means, but what do you think this is going to turn out to be? What's your predictions here?
I think he could be anywhere 5-6 games. I mean, you're not going to have a team roll over. I don't think. There's not with the way that they played Toledo this year. I mean, their goaltending is going to be what's, I think, going to keep them in a lot of games again in this series. Their goaltenders were really good against Toledo. Not that the whole team wasn't for Kalamazoo, but their goaltenders really seemed to play well when they played Toledo. And I think if they can just get some confidence, if they can come out Friday night, get a couple early goals, kind of instill that confidence of, okay, we can get these guys. I think when take it one period at a time and just try to ultimately get the first game and go from there.
Yeah, I mean, Kalamazoo's goaltenders, they've had a good season, right? Like overall, it seems like that's kind of really been the glue for this K-Wings team that's kind of kept them in a playoff run. So it will be interesting to see the Walleye break through them, but at the same time, we've said it a million times and we'll keep saying it. It's a different Walleye team. It's a lot of different shooters, a lot of different play styles that Kalamazoo is going to run into. And I don't think these goalies are really ready for that. I mean, you look at Kalamazoo's record heading into the playoffs here. Their past 10 games, 4-5-1. Definitely not where they want to be for sure heading into the playoffs. But again, once you're in, you're in. That's all that matters. But you pointed out an offensive stat that was really interesting right before we started recording. And what was that?
So I think the biggest thing here is going to be depth. You look at guys with 50 points. Toledo has 8 players with 50 points to Kalamazoo having 2. So offensively, it's just like, okay, we have so much depth. We just need that depth to carry and continue with and build upon what they did in the regular season. And I think the results will take care of themselves.
Yeah, I mean, looking defensively on it as well, is like you only have to shut down 2 guys in Kalamazoo on that side. But you really got to worry about the other, what do we got? 6 other players there.
Yeah, they did have a third guy that had 22 goals, but didn't have the 50 points. So they got 3 guys with at least 20 goals, but Toledo has 6 of those. So it'll be an interesting series, right? I'm sure it'll be a very tight checking series, be very in your face. I think that's the way that Kalamazoo is probably going to want to play this series. But Toledo, if they can use their speed and their skill, just kind of take games over by moving their feet, drawing penalties, I think that's their recipe for success personally.
When we saw them down in Kalamazoo, it was more of a physical game, and it was kind of more of an emotional game is what we tend to call them here in Grand Rapids. So if they can not play that emotional style, should be good, especially from what Hawk said later in the interview.
And even like your addition of Graves, I think that's going to help you out too. I think he's going to provide some stability on the back end to not let guys get pushed around. I think that's going to be a huge addition to this team as they get into the playoffs and how far they go. I think that was a big pickup. That's what they desperately needed, and all the credit to the front office and Pat Mickish going to get a player like that.
I was just going to say, I think he's going to be one of the unsung heroes that maybe on the score sheet isn't recognized, but if you're watching the games and you watch every single one, I think he's going to be a guy that really stands out these playoffs.
Yeah, I would agree. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch, right? And to be there, I mean, hopefully you guys can come down, and I'm going to try to come up as well, maybe for game 4. So we'll see.
Yeah. I hope we can make some magic happen here. So I want to throw out some predictions. I want to get each of your predictions. How's the series going to end? First round, what's going to happen? Nick, you go first.
I think it's going to go 6 games.
I like how you went to hold up 6 there, and you're like, oh, I have to talk.
Well, then also, with the MAC, you never know if their balloons are coming out or thumbs ups are going on. So I just, it's like, oh. So yes, I think it's going to go 6. I'm hoping it goes for 6. But I also realized Tuesday that game 6 is on the last day of the month. So I don't know if I'll actually be able to make that game now. Hopefully, I haven't seen the time. No, it's at 7. But hopefully I can make it down there for that game and see the Walleye clinch to the second round.
All right, so Nick wants them to go 6 just selfishly so he can see them at least once in the first round. Yeah. Travis, what do you got?
This is tough, right? I think the easiest answer to pick in this is always 6 games. Like I feel like that's the go-to for every single person, right? Because it's like, okay, I don't think there's going to be a sweep, but I could see the other team getting a couple games. I'm going to go 5.
Ooh.
I'm going to go 5 just with how Toledo's playing right now.
You know what? That's really funny. I was going to go 5 as well. I think that makes the most sense here.
Or you can have 5 and I'll go 7. Wouldn't mind a game 7.
No, you can stick with 5. We have 2 people say 5. That's fine. I think, I think it's gonna be 5. They'll move on to the second round on Saturday in Toledo on the 27th. That's my guess. So
Could you imagine that bus ride back to Toledo from Kalamazoo after winning Game 6 though? Like,
oh, it'd be a party.
oh yeah,
for fans and players.
Could you imagine the bus ride back to back to Toledo when they sweep Kalamazoo in Game 4? Like, oh, that would be the bus ride to be on right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for this. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited that selfishly that they're playing Kalamazoo, so we have the opportunity to at least go see them more. And who knows? Maybe you'll run into one of us this weekend in Toledo. Maybe you won't. The more I say it, I think Travis just assumes it's already going to happen. Like,
probably going to happen.
Anything else we want to add to this Toledo recap before we throw it over to Brandon Hawkins and this fantastic interview we got to do with him?
Not that I can think of. I mean, hope to see everybody there. If Brandon comes and you see us walking around the concourse, feel free to stop us. Say hello.
Oh yeah,
Brandon will sign.
I'll bring stickers. I won't sign stuff. My signature is garbage. It's terrible.
Extra because I'm out.
We got you. All right. With that, we will throw it over to DraftKings to meet our sponsor obligations. And when we come back, we'll get to chat with the one and only Brandon Hawkins. This was probably the most fun interview we've had as a podcast so far. So hope everyone enjoys it. But Nick, go read the ad.
We know hockey games move fast, but with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, you can score faster than anything happening on the ice. This week, new customers can bet $5 to get $200 instantly in bonus bets. With Patrick Kane, Alex DeBrincat all back and ready from the All-Star game, you've got good choices to make bets on them. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use code THPN. New customers can bet $5 to get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 58 with code THPN. The crown is yours. Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467369. In Connecticut, help available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Will Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. cdkng.com/football for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources.
And welcome back, everyone. All right, we are now joined by someone who needs no introduction, but we're going to give him one anyways. He's the first Toledo Walleye player to earn the honor of ECHL regular season scoring leader, and he did it this season, hitting 93 points in 70 games. He holds both the single season and goals record for the Toledo Walleye. Him and the Walleye are heading into the ECHL playoffs fresh off a 14-game win streak, the longest this season in the ECHL, tied for 6th longest in ECHL history. The guy we've dubbed the human cheat code on ice. Welcome to the show, Brandon Hawkins. How you doing, man?
I'm good, fellas. Hey, thanks for having me. I like that. That's a funny one, the human cheat code. I had a good one in Fort Wayne too.
What was it?
Sports Icon gave me the nickname the Hammer because no matter what, it was my slap shot. So it was funny. It was a good time.
I love it. Well, man, this season was a wild one. You know, you guys are on absolute fire. How did you enjoy the season?
It was awesome. I mean, it's fun. I mean, to have a new coach and a lot of new guys on the team. It was a lot of unknowing coming into it, but it's been a really pleasant surprise. Mick's been fantastic. He's an awesome communicator, and it's been a lot of fun to play for him. But other than that, it's been really nice to have all the young guys around. I mean, past couple of years we've had a pretty old team in my eyes, but I went from like the 7th oldest guy on the team last year to the oldest guy on the team this year as a 29-year-old. So it's a little different, but it's been a lot of fun, and there's been a lot of teaching, but they're all like sponges, and they all want to get better every day, and it's been good.
I love that.
So what would you say is the biggest transition from Dan Watson to Pat Mickish?
There wasn't much of a transition at all. It was really seamless. They're both like I like to say, I'm a people's person. Like that's the same way Waddy was. That's the same way that Mick is, and it's awesome. His communication is right there with Waddy, so it's been really easy on to understand what he wants and what he wants from the team and individuals on any basis day to day. So it was very seamless.
It seems like that's kind of what the organization was going for when they hired Pat to take over for Waddy.
Yeah.
What with you guys have a lot of guys, like roster change is huge in the ECHL, and with this, like, who would you say is making the biggest impact on you guys' team that's not really talked about enough? Like,
Michael Prapavassis, defenseman. He's been fantastic this year. He's an unsung hero, that's for sure. He's always in the right position. He's always making the correct play. He's been really good. Forward side, I mean, I feel like a lot of the rookies don't get enough talk, but Mitch Lewandowski has been awesome. Riley Sawchuk's been awesome. Those guys are, I don't know if they get enough credit or not, but they've been fantastic. Saw got rewarded and got called up here a little bit ago, so it was it's fun to see those guys do as well as they're doing and have as much fun as they do. So it's to see guys grow and get better on a daily basis. You really see who they are as a person and what they can be as a hockey player.
Are you really taking people under your wing then? Because you said you're now like the second oldest guy.
The oldest guy.
You're the oldest guy.
Yeah.
So are you kind of leading the rookies, the newer guys with you?
I tried to. We have a pretty good leadership group here between myself, Conlon Keenan, Sam Crash, John Lutherman, Trenton Bliss. So it's pretty good that we kind of all try to lead by example, and if things need to be said, things are said. But other than that, if guys have questions, I'm glad to help push in one direction or another. The way I look at it is I'm still trying to get better every day like they are. I mean, in the end, the only way you play as long as you can is by learning something new every day. And that's the way I look at things coming to the rink every day.
I love that. That's so great. I got something against Lewandowski though. He got his little call up there to the Cleveland Monsters and ended up scoring on the Griffins when they were playing here in Grand Rapids one night. I was like, man, come on. That felt like friendly fire.
It is friendly fire.
So you guys have a first round matchup against the K-Wings coming up, and that's been an interesting series all season to watch. What do you think is going to be the key to success against this K-Wings team?
I think a lot of our issue was playing against them when they were beating us quite a bit. Was like we were playing away from our identity, and our identity is fast, puck moving, gritty type forecheck, and I think we got away from that. And in my eyes, when we play at our best ability, when we're playing to our principles and to our identity, I feel like they were really good hockey games and hockey games that won our way in the end.
Yeah, that's a good call. I'd agree with that. It's going to be an interesting series. I love it too, because I look online and you see all their fans. They're like, yeah, we beat them good in the regular season. There's a lot of their fans are like, this is a different Toledo team now, guys. You better watch out. And I'm excited to see what that's going to turn into.
Yeah,
it's great for us.
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
Especially because you guys are, 30 minutes from there?
Yeah. So we'll be I'll at least be at every Kalamazoo game myself. I've already looked at my schedule, so I'll be there.
Sweet. It's a fun rink when it's packed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They're an intense fan base too, just like the Toledo fans. They love their team, and we're excited for it.
Oh, absolutely. Same here.
So, thinking of the playoffs, why should fans that might not live in Toledo, people that listen to us up here in Grand Rapids or anything like that, why should they make the trip down to Toledo for a playoff game if they've never been?
It's a cheaper way to see an NHL-like experience.
Yeah.
I mean, any given day we have over 8,000 fans. Every fan here in Toledo is passionate about their hockey team and have been passionate since the Gold Diggers. So they're all tremendous at the rink. They love us. They have the best energy. They're fun to be around. They can get some little bit unruly at times, but just makes for a little bit more fun environment. Other than that, it's honestly been fantastic in terms of, we call this this is the NHL East Coast League in Toledo. You don't really go many other places and get the same things that you see here with the fans and the environment. You think you get to see the little scene outside around the rink, being close to Fenway. It's like being at a big city game in a little city, if that makes sense.
It makes total sense. Yeah.
And honestly, I grew up a one parent income house where my dad was disabled. So we didn't really get the opportunity to go to Red Wings games or anything like that all the time. So that the East Coast League price point and getting to see us play with an environment that's like an NHL rink is what would be perfect for a family like us growing up.
I love that. It's a beautiful rink too. It honestly is.
Yeah.
It's one of the most beautiful rinks I've been in.
Mhm.
And I think that just leads to my follow-up question is, we might have already answered it too, is why is Toledo such a special place for hockey? Because we started this podcast as a Griffins one, and then we found Coast down there. We're like, all right, well, we got to start covering this team too. And then we started to get more and more into it just a year ago. Now we're hooked. Like we got down there, went to one game, and I was like, this is incredible.
Yeah.
But, like, what just makes it so special?
I think it's just the history of hockey in the city. Like if you think about it, it's a blue collar town. Everybody here comes from a hardworking family. They come to games, they support their team with all the energy that they got, and they've done it literally for decades and decades. Think of how good the Gold Diggers were. Think of how good the Storm were. And other than us not winning a cup, I would like to say that we've been a pretty good hockey team here as well. And we give the city something to be proud of. And that's the way kind of we look at things. But I believe really that it is the history here. It's the same as Hockeytown, right? It's the same idea as the Wings. Like I grew up a Wings fan. Think of how fun those teams were from the late 90s all the way to 2015, and we're starting to see it again now. And it's crazy to see like how much a city will get behind a team like that.
Yeah, it's awesome. Speaking of the Wings, did you watch that game last night?
I did. It was crazy. Raymond's I grew up with a term that it's big players show up in big games, and I like to say that Raymond's one of those guys.
Yeah, I agree.
We were all like talking about like preparing for today and watching it, and we were like going crazy the whole time that happened.
It was nuts.
So I want to talk about that, just the energy with it. We came out to one of the regular season games last year, first time in Toledo, and we're standing up for the national anthem, and we just hear the entire crowd just yell, "Hit somebody!"
Yeah,
and we're just like goosebumps, like it just shakes you. Like you mentioned on another podcast, the Backcheck, that like the only other time, like another time that you've had like they had creature, was it the Bleacher Creatures?
Bleacher Creatures, yeah.
Have you been anywhere else that has that same like experience or like that energy that you feel at Toledo? Like, is there anywhere even comparable besides maybe Hockeytown last night when Raymond hits that overtime goal? Like,
yeah, like let's see. I went to the game against the Caps. I think it was last week, 2 weeks ago, when Ovechkin scored, and then they scored really late to lose 2-1. Like that was a playoff type atmosphere.
I was there.
The city gets behind a team when they want to win. Have I been anywhere else that has the same energy? The Kelly Cup final when I was in Fort Wayne, where at the very end of it, all the COVID restrictions were dropped and they put 12,000 people in that rink. That was nuts. But I mean, in reality, there's nothing really like Toledo. You have that same exact energy every game of the entire year.
We're excited to go to a playoff game just to see it on that other level, just experience it at the regular season. Like we're excited to do that. So.
Yeah, it's like you guys watch Step Brothers, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm at a level 5. I'm going to take it to a 10. Like that's the exact way I can say how Toledo is in playoffs.
It like gets to another level, doesn't it?
Oh, it's crazy, and like you guys will see it. Like when they do the opening introductions and the first game of playoffs with the Flames and Spike and everybody going nuts. There really isn't anything like it.
It's crazy to see in person, you guys. Like being there every night is pretty cool.
Oh, and the first time they did hit somebody, like my first year here, I totally like they didn't play the COVID year, and I played in Wheeling before, and they kicked the crap out of us every time that Wheeling played here. So I forgot about the hit somebody thing, and I got here in my first game, scared the living crap out of me, and I wasn't even playing. I was injured. I had wrist surgery. I like jumped on the bench.
Is that part of it? Like what brings you back to the city every year?
I mean, to me, I come from a small town.
Yeah.
2 hardworking parents that did whatever they could to help me play, and a grandma that did everything she could to help me play. And that's kind of what this feels like. It's a small town feeling where everybody here loves what they do. They work hard to do it. They love coming to see their hockey team, and they've treated my family like gold, and I'll always come back as long as I'm allowed.
That's good.
I love that.
Yeah.
Griffins fans want to know, this is a good one here. What was it like practicing against Sebastian Cossa in the early stages of his development? Because he's an athletic freak. So I can only imagine what he was like down there in practice as he was starting to find his way.
Yeah, I mean, that's the best way to explain an athletic freak. Let's see. Like I shoot on the goalies every day. I'm one of the guys. Like we have a goalie crew that we have 4 shooters, and we shoot on the goalies to do their warm up, to do their daily work, things like that. Cossa at the beginning, you could see like he was learning and he was getting better, and then one day we came in and it was like it went from 0 to 10, and you saw basically him. That was right at the time where we started to go on that crazy run.
Yeah.
And you saw him like go from junior to pro very fast, or from young man to I'm a man now very quickly. And honestly, I think John Lethman helped a lot with that, because Leth does everything as a pro, like as far as anybody I've ever seen. Like he is a pro's pro. He does everything right. He does everything to treat his body right. He wants to win. He does all the extra, and he does everything correct. He's like, in my eyes, he's Mr. Perfect. But so to have him as an example and to help guide Coast along in that sense, really, I think it helped. But then to see Coast take that jump and get even better, and you're seeing him take that jump again now in the American League. He's a very special individual, and he's a very bright young man, and he's very respectful, and he was a lot of fun to have around the rink, because you could see him grow as a player and a person. And I think that's where it really jumped for me, is like sometimes you see the guys get the big jump and they're different, but like he stayed the same the whole time. He was still Coast. He was still Seabass. So it's one of those things that I was excited to see, and I couldn't be more happy for him. He's going to be a force to reckon with when he gets to the National League. That's for sure.
You got any fun stories about him?
About Coast?
Yeah.
Not really. Him and I would always have, we'd always battle. Like we do like little 3-puck games between the two of us and keep count against, he's very competitive, and as am I. So it was just one of the fun things. And I always love to see him get as angry as he does. And you can see like he gets angry because he cares.
Yeah.
And that's just who he is. He wants to win. And I think that's one of the biggest things I like behind his character, is he'll battle till the very end to win. And that's just who he is.
So who won last season, you or him?
We stopped counting for a while. I went to Chicago, and I think we lost count after that. I think he was up. He might have been up 1 or 2.
Oh.
3-puck is 1 shot, 2 breakaways, for those guys that don't know. all from the hash marks. And when you're shooting against a goalie that's 6'6", you do not have much to shoot at. Let's put it that way.
He's very
It's
good
funny too, 'cause I think he's kept that game going with Marco Casper up here. Actually, I've seen a lot of clips where those two are going against each other. So I think he's still playing that same game.
Oh yeah, he's a competitive freak. I love it.
He always had the little mean streak in there when, someone's messing with one of your guys close to the crease and he doesn't like it. He's going to try to jump in there a little bit and stir things up.
Yeah, do you call it a mean streak, or do you call it sticking up for your teammates?
Sticking up for your teammates, 100%. I love it.
That's why I look at it. And he's protective of his guys, and I think he always will be.
I always joke that I think he's going to be the first Griffin I've seen in a long time get a goalie fight in there at some point when someone screws with the wrong guy.
I wouldn't doubt it, and I almost feel bad for the other person because of how long his reach is.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
So Huck, you've played a couple games in the AHL with Chicago, with Cleveland. Now that Waddy's over here in Grand Rapids, do you foresee yourself getting a PTO time up here? I
don't know if the way I look at it is there's a time and a place for everything, right? I ended up in Rochester because they had so many COVID issues. I ended up in Cleveland one game because Kevin Stenlund he wasn't allowed to play back-to-backs yet on his recovery for his injury, so I went and played a game there. I ended up in Chicago last year. They had 9 injuries at one time. It's obviously there's a time and a place for when things happen. If it does happen, Waddy's awesome. He's one of my favorite people, one of my favorite coaches I've ever had. So it would be an honor to play for him no matter where I was. But again, it's one of those things, if they were to need me on a situation like that, then you never know. But to play for him at any time, any place, I would do it if he needed me.
The drive's a little bit less than what you had to do with Wheeling to Wilkes-Barre. So
Oh, I went up and down between Wheeling and Wilkes-Barre like 12 times, and I think I played 6 games. But they were like, the people in that organization are awesome too. Like, they're just surrounded by good people.
So what was the recruiting process like that led you to sign with Toledo your first season with the team? And then you've kind of become the guy that wants to sign first every year. What led into that?
Well, you guys can thank Spees. So the year in Wheeling, Wilkes-Barre ended, and I wanted to play near home again. Like, it was just one of those things. If I'm going to play pro, I want to play close where my parents can come watch all the time. They've come to every home game here this year. So he gave me a call and goes, "Hey, look, is Toledo a place you'd want to play in?" I'm like, 100%. I've watched Steve Alexi play here. I've watched Jeff Lurg play here. Greg Wolf, AJ Jenks, O Schmitz. You can think of all the guys I grew up around that have played in Toledo. So for him to call and say, "Hey, there's an opportunity. Would this be something you want?" I go, "Absolutely." Waddy called me, I think 30 minutes later, and I signed in Toledo. So it all worked out in the perfect way. But you guys can thank Spees for everything that I've gotten to do here is because of Tyler Spezia getting me to come to Toledo.
So is he the guy that's in charge of recruiting everybody? Because you played with a lot of guys that are over here, like Zach Aston Reese. You played with Speege, Lesby.
Yeah, I don't know how that all happened, but no, I couldn't tell you. That's all. It's all different at different levels. American League recruiting is way different than East Coast League recruiting, but no, Spees has a strong presence as a leader and someone you want to be around. And we've been best friends since I was 4 years old. And if I didn't elope, he'd be one of the guys standing up at my wedding, that's for sure. So he's just one of those guys that people gravitate towards and always have.
I don't know if you saw after his little scary moment he had in Chicago, obviously.
Yeah.
He came back first game Friday night and was an absolute pest out there. This guy tries to pick on him and tries to skate off the ice, and he says nope, drags him right back onto the ice and continues the altercation there. That's the kind of guy he is. He's a dog, man. He's a dog on the ice.
Yeah, he'll never stop working. I talked to him. I want to say he responded to me that night, just that he was okay. And then I talked to him a couple times during that week to see what was going on. So it was scary, but to see that he's all right, it's a blessing. I was praying for him. So again, he's a guy that's never going to give up. You're going to give him shit, you're going to get shit back, and that's just who he is.
I love it. So you mentioned it earlier, you guys gained a lot of young players this year. There's a couple guys that, Griffins fans and Red Wings fans are pretty familiar with, and Doucette and Sawchuk. What's it been like playing with those guys? You mentioned, they're a sponge, they want to learn, but like, what's it been like on the ice with them? Because you spend a lot of time on the ice with them in game too.
Yep. Let's start with Saw. Saw is he's awesome. Like, he's fun to be around. You could see that he wants to get better every day. And you could see that he's a shooter, but he has the ability to make plays and be a dog, and he can really play up and down the lineup, which is really cool, because in the American League, you're going to have to do that. You're going to have to play on the fourth line. You're going to get the opportunity to play on the first line. You're going to play some power play. You're going to play some PK, and he's able to do all of that. So it's fun to be around. We're actually stallmates. He sits right next to me. So he asks questions, and he's a sponge, and he's just one of those guys that he's always working on his game no matter where he is. And it's definitely fun to be around. Deuce, I started calling him Moose because it's not fun to go into a corner with him. And I played with a kid who's on the Calgary Wranglers named Mitch McLean at BG, and we called him Moose. And again, that's not a guy that's fun to go in the corner with. So Deuce is a hard worker. He's I think a lot of people underrate how strong he is. And if he picks up the puck and he goes in the net, there's a good chance he carries 2 or 3 guys with him before he puts the puck in the net, the goalie in the net, and then the other 3 guys too. He's a relentless worker. He's a relentless worker with a scoring touch, and you can really see like he's grown up a lot this year in terms of being a pro. And obviously, it's really tough for guys to make that jump from major, junior to pro, no matter what level it is. So to see both him and Saw grow up the way they have, and take advantage of what it's like to be a pro and what I need to do to get to the next level, and asking questions and constantly getting better on a day-to-day basis it's cool to see, because again, I had guys that mentored me and things like that. And it's cool when they ask me questions and stuff like that, because like, I had TJ Hensick tell me this. So this is something I learned from him. Maybe it works for you. Maybe it doesn't. Like, or my first year, like I had Joseph Landisi, like he was my center, and he was like, hey, look, this might work for you. I learned it from watching Sidney Crosby. Like, you just see, like, in the end, it's all about passing down little bits of knowledge here and there that we can help in any way possible. But no, they're both sponges, and they're both going to be great hockey players. And you can really see that they want to get better. They want to move on to the next level, and they want to win.
So speaking of TJ, how did watching him as a leader kind of mold you into being the locker room leader that you are today?
Well, I can't take anything away from Keenes, because me and Keenes like to lead side by side, and we both feed off each other. If I'm seeing something, I'm telling him. If he's seeing something, he's telling me. So, and we both learned from both Henny and Elby.
Yeah.
So, and for those people that don't know, John Albert, he was the captain in St. John's and then Manitoba as well for the Moose. He played in Winnipeg. But no, TJ he's like an older brother to me. Like, it was one of the coolest things in the world to get to play with him, because my dad ran Joe Dumars Fieldhouse growing up, which is a roller hockey rink in Utica, Michigan. It's gone now. And anybody you can think of played there, from Patrick Kane to TJ Hensick to Ryan Kessler to Pat Maroon you can go on and on. A bunch of NHL names played roller hockey at this place. It's wild to think about. But Henny played roller hockey growing up for the Honey Baked Rollin' Hogs, and I always watched him play. And then he went on to play for Michigan, which my dad would bring me to watch him play there. And then fast forward, I get to see him play in the NHL, and then I get to play with him. So he was my stallmate. As a little kid, you'd think, like, shut up, there's no chance that ever happens. And I get to sit next to one of my idols. So to sit there and kind of try to take in everything that I could learn from him, whether it was how he would receive a pass in this place, what he's looking at on this play that makes a D think he's looking at something else. Why do I shoot in this certain spot? Why do I pass in that certain spot? Where can I move my feet here to be a better hockey player? There were lots of lunches shared, lots of dinners that we went out to on the road. He treated me like family, and he treated me like a little brother. And it's something I try to do with some of the younger guys here, because I was spoiled. That's the way I look at it. That's definitely the way I look at it. I was spoiled by having him as a person I learned the most from. And I'm forever indebted to him, because how can you pay somebody back for that?
Yeah.
So I just try to hopefully do him proud in a way that I can help the younger guys learn something new, or do something that they've never done before. And hopefully they can take it and put their own spin on it and use it in their game.
Do you still keep in touch with TJ?
Yeah, we talk probably 2 times a month. He's always reaching out, or it's funny, like, he still pays attention to games, and he'll reach out and be like, how did you score from there? Or, you're on a roll right now, stuff like that. Just little things here and there. And he's awesome. I know he's busy with William. His son plays with Brandon Hawkins' son, and a couple other University of Michigan alums, and they're all over the place traveling and playing. So no, I miss him at the rink. I miss having his son William at the rink. They're an awesome family, and they treated me like he treated me like a little brother that he never had. So it was fun.
That's pretty cool to hear, like, the tradition of having good leadership in the room carried year after year after year.
Absolutely.
This was a perfect transition to literally my next question for you. So you have some big news coming up for the next season. Is you're having a boy?
Yep, having a little one. August 30th is our due date. So yeah, me and my wife couldn't be more excited.
It was super cool with what the Walleye did for you and your family, having that announcement on ice in the arena.
It started out with, we wanted to do a gender reveal, and we're like, all right, well, we'll invite the team and see if they'd want to stay out there with us. And then I brought my family who was around. Kayla, my wife, brought her family. That a couple of them drove from Cincinnati, things like that. And then I eventually told the fellas, I go, hey, if you guys want to stick around and stay, you're more than welcome to. You guys consider you guys family. If you guys want to be a part of it, you're more than welcome to do it. Then they brought their girlfriends, and then I told Jordan Strack about it, and Strack was like, absolutely, we'll get a videographer and we'll make this really cool. And that's kind of just how it played out. Speaking of how close me and Keenes are, we gave Keenes for those people that don't know, Conlon Keenan, we gave Keenes the gender reveal. We gave him the pucks. We gave him the paper like 2 weeks before. We had no idea. He kept it to himself. Nobody on the team knew. And then nobody knew until the puck was on the ground. So if you think you're talking about you need somebody to keep a secret, it's Kalamazoo.
So how does it going into next season then with having the kid that close to, I would assume training camp's right around there.
Training camp for us is October. So
okay, so you got a little bit of time,
like a month and a half of practice.
What is it going to look like for you next season with having the kid to try to juggle both duties?
I mean, obviously there's going to be some differences, right? But I'm still going to be the player that I am. Luckily, I have the most supportive, wonderful wife I could ever think of. She's a speech language therapist, and we've talked about it a bunch. And it's just one of those things that we'll be able to do it together. And I trust that we'd be able to do whatever we need to do to make it work. And that's the coolest thing about our relationship. This whole year has been awesome. Like, with all the new things around and to do the things that I've done this year, I wouldn't have been able to do them without her. Let's put it that way. She's, I'm lucky to have her, as most guys are their wives. So it's one of those things that she brings out the best in me, and hopefully I do that for her. But no, she pushes me to be better every day, and no matter if that's being a hockey player or being a person. And I think that's the coolest part about our relationship.
That's awesome.
I love it. So, I mean, obviously there's one thing I know you're into in the off season, which is golf here. That's going to, damper on the end of the golf season there before the regular season.
Yeah, it's more time to focus on hockey.
Yeah, that's fair. Are you a guy that takes it super serious on the course, or are you out there just to have a good time?
I think the other day I was like a 6 point whatever handicap. I still keep the gin. So if there's ever any wagers involved, then it's a little bit more fun. But no, I like to have a good time. Me, Spees, and a couple guys always play in the Gulch Memorial outing here in Toledo every year. For those that want to support it, it's put up on my page. They're awesome people. They put on an awesome event. And there's a bunch of walleye and griffins that play in it, so that makes it even better. No, I love golf. I grew up playing it. My dad put me in golf school at a young age, and it's just something I always love doing. I like being outside in the summertime, and if I have excuse to swing my clubs, I'll take it.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I'm getting out my first round of the season this coming weekend, so I'm very excited to get out and go.
I love it.
Follow-up question to that is actually from a listener of ours, Anna. She wanted to know if you had any other hobbies that you want to get into, but you haven't had the chance or time yet.
Oh, I mean, not really. We have 2 dogs. We have a Doberman and a Pitty. We like to take them everywhere and do things with them. We like to go. We have a bunch of cool parks right here in Toledo. Their Metro Park system's fantastic. So we're always usually taking them for walks out there or doing something outside. And if not, we bought a house in Toledo last summer. So there's always work to do around the house. So that'll probably be whatever we can do to upgrade it or do little things to make it more ours. That's what the summer is going to call for.
I like that. That's awesome.
So I've always said that you have one of the best shots in hockey. Like,
I appreciate you.
It's sometimes it's just like, oh my God. And basically I just want to know, like, what did you do as like when you were growing up to develop that into such a weapon?
Well, so luckily with my dad running the roller hockey rink, I had as much floor time as I wanted. And this is, so the floor was sport court. So it's the plastic floor. You can use any stick. You can do whatever you want. So I was able to shoot pucks and work on my skills. And roller hockey is all about time and space and offensive ability and being able to recognize the time to go and not to go, different things like that. Other than that, we lived in a ranch that the basement was unfinished. And it was probably blue line in, and I had a little plastic shooting pad and a net at the other side of the garage, and I'd shoot just around 1,000 pucks a day. My grandma, who lives with my parents now, she would sit down there and yell out top left, top right, bottom left, 5-hole, things like that. And I would just sit there and work on my shot and work on my craft. Sometimes I wish that I would have worked on my skating ability a little more, but it is what it is. There's that. My dad created a little unorthodox thing where you put a truck tire up against a wall, piece of tape 6 inches behind it, and you hit the tire with your stick like you're taking a shot, and then push your hands past the front of the tire, so you're flexing your stick. So then when you go to shoot a puck, you understand how your hands are supposed to move in order to project that puck as hard as you want. So
that's genius. That's literally genius.
Yeah, so all of these things played into what I am today, but it's something I always work on. And I still work on like the little crafty angles and things like that, where a goalie's like, "There's no chance he's going to shoot here," and it's like, "Oh, I guess he did." So I'm always working on something new. That's the best way I can understand it. Our strength coach here, Jonesy, like has a saying that if you're not growing, you're dying. So that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, I remember last year you scored a goal. It was like perfect eye line with me, and you literally had one small spot you could put it, and you hit it, and I just was like, "Oh my, this is insane!" Like,
as long as I have a few inches to score, I'll try to take advantage of it. Sometimes the goalie will put his head in the way or whatever, but I mean that might leave his ears ringing for a little bit. But at least I'm still going to try putting it there.
And you still spend a lot of time on the roller rink in the off season, don't you?
Yeah, I still try to play one or two tournaments a summer. They're always a good time to get back. The roller community is really small, so to come back and see those guys, it's a bunch of people that me and Tyler have grown up with our entire lives. So to go back and see them, it's like a family reunion every year more than it is a roller hockey tournament.
You played in the 3-ice tournament stuff in the off season this past off season. It was an interesting experience seeing that for the first time in Grand Rapids when you were up here. What was that like for you?
It's fun. Again, to me, it translates a lot to roller hockey. Time, space, a lot of ice to work with, a lot of offensive skill, a lot of one-on-one weird type moves that you never see in normal games, things like that. I'm playing again this summer. But it's the best summer job ever because you're getting paid to play 3-on-3, and no one's ever going to complain about that. And we get to go to a couple fun cities too, so it makes it worth it.
Nice. That's good to know you're doing it again this year. I'll have to keep an eye out for that. Hopefully they're coming back to Grand Rapids again.
I haven't even looked at the city list, to be honest with you. I know that they announced a city list, and I think I saw Tennessee on there and a couple different places. But honestly, I love doing it. And like one of the coolest, most gratifying, I think I'm using that right. Gratifying things I get to do is sit and talk with John LeClaire and Joe Mullen and guys like that, like Brian Trottier, Grant Fuhr. Like, think about that. Like, you're sitting with literal legends. Like to sit with those guys and try to leech some of their knowledge about the game and things that they would be like, do this, don't do that, like things of that nature. And they're always like, you guys are in the non-fun era because we got to do everything without cell phones. So that was the one thing they always talk about. But no, it's definitely cool, and that's just a plus that we get to hang out with those guys and get to play a little hockey on the side.
Nice.
So another question that I had, and it actually came in from a listener too, is what is the listener was Zach? What's the best and worst arena in the ECHL that's not the Huntington Center?
Ooh. Well, the worst one was probably South Carolina's practice rink, which we played in the Kelly Cup final. I don't know if you guys remember that or ever heard about that.
No,
I did not.
It was basically Tam O'Shanter.
Oh,
yeah. That was. They had something going on at the rink, and we couldn't play there in playoffs, so we had to play at their practice rink. It was crazy. But no, they gave us an awesome locker room. It was just wild that we were playing in like a youth rink. No, if we're going, I don't know if we really have a worse one. Like, all the worst ones are kind of getting phased out. Like, everybody's getting a new place. The best one I've played at that I enjoyed was Allen.
Oh, in Texas.
Allen was fun to go to. I mean, I like playing in Fort Wayne, whether it was playing for him or playing against him. I've always liked playing there. It makes you feel like, I don't know, growing up, you always want to play in a big rink. So it's always cool to look up and you're like, oh my God, the seats go all the way up there. So that's always fun. Places that I don't like playing, places with bad ice.
Yeah.
That's usually my one that I can't stand is if a rink has bad ice, it's never a good time.
So
that's understandable.
I have a follow-up for that.
Uh-huh.
You mentioned Fort Wayne. So
Yep.
what? I played youth hockey.
Mhm.
What's it like when the benches are across from each other versus next to each other? Like your benches across the ice versus next to each other. Does that throw you off at first?
Not really. I mean, you kind of see it a lot in pro, like Kalamazoo, Fort Wayne, things like that. I mean, you see it here and there. It depends on where you are or what you're doing. Obviously, there's a little bit of advantage when it comes to shooting at one end twice with changes and different things like that, and that's probably why they did it, and to give a little bit of a home field advantage. But that's why it's there, for a home field advantage, so you can't really complain about it.
So I was watching one of the podcasts that you were on last year, and you were talking. You're a big tattoo guy. You've
Yeah.
got a ton of tattoos, but one really stuck out to me, and it's the one that you have on your wrist.
Yeah, the autism awareness one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you go into that and like what that like to me, like knowing you as a hockey player, we don't watch you on TV or in person, but like that was like the human element to me that was just like, wow, like that just really showed through.
Yep. So let's start it this way. My mom has been a teacher for over 20 years, or she's going on her 20th year. My dad, before the roller hockey rink, he was working in a school system that was really for handicapped individuals, special individuals, whichever one you'd like to use. So I kind of grew up around my parents always helping people when they could. And I've always taken to working with kids, whether it be they have autism, Down syndrome. I've done work here in Toledo with Down Syndrome Association of Greater Toledo. They're awesome. They're so much fun to be around. And then this past season, I did something where I jumped up on stage with Skittlebots, which is a local band here in Toledo, and did something for Acoustics for Autism, where we raise money for the local autism organization. So growing up, I had a really good friend by the name of Andy Catula. We grew up at the roller hockey rink together. His brother Tommy. So the stuff I have on my wrist is actually here. I'll show you guys so you guys can see the full thing. Is TJK, Thomas Joseph Catula. So Tommy is low functioning, low communicating, but he's always around the family, always fun to be around, and he does a little bit of sign language here and there. So he's a tremendous person, and he graduated from high school at 26. He's a very cool person. We call him the GOAT because he is. But no, it was one of those things. They're family to me, and they always have been. And I take a tremendous honor in working with anybody with something like that, with autism or Down syndrome, and I always have, or any individual for that sense. So it just goes back to my parents and how they've always wanted to help people. So I take a big honor and any time that I can help in a situation like that. Acoustics for Autism was really cool. They do a tremendous job here in Toledo. If you guys could have saw how packed downtown Maumee was during that, like we had a game on Sunday. I went and did the event from 12 to 2, put my suit on, and then went to the rink. And it was like, to be around that type of event for such a great cause, I'll do it any day of the week.
That's awesome. I can really relate. My aunt, she teaches special education in the Flint area. So when
you said the Flint area?
Yeah, I'm from the Flint area.
My parents live in Davison.
Oh wow. Okay, so yeah, she's like right on the Burton Flint area. So
okay,
that's funny. The other tattoo, I don't know if you had it, but it's your artist, the tattoo artist. The Paradise and man, I'm losing it. Paradise and Beach. Is that
Paradise Every Day?
Paradise Every Day. So that was another like big portion that I pulled out as well. That I really want to have you share.
Yeah. So Paradise Every Day is this thing that me and my very good friend Josh Ramesh, aka Tattoos by Loaf, if you guys want to look him up, came up with, and then they've even gone even further on it with their tattoo shop, which is Hand and Heart Tattoos in Mount Clemens, Michigan. That no matter what you're doing, no matter what you're going through, whether it be mental, whether it be physical, that you got to live in paradise every day to get by. Whether that is eating a shit sandwich with a smile on your face, to you're dealing with something harder than ever, you have to understand that you got to find your beach, and you got to find a way to be present and happy and basically power through. And obviously it's not that easy, right? Everybody has their own find their beach, everybody's going through different, whether it be fighting the darkest of demons to just not being in a good place in life. And we like to think that hopefully with us going out about and trying to be as positive as we can with everybody, that it'll brush off on people and they'll find their paradise and they'll be able to do things like that. So it's all about being positive minded and trying to help people understand that there's others out there that'll help when we can, and that the best outlook on life is a positive one.
I love that. Like that positivity right there. Just, everyone sees you as the hockey player, but to see like the person you are and just like the way you carry yourself, it's just a positive thing, man. I absolutely love hearing that.
I appreciate it. There's a good quote. A good friend here told me that negative thoughts are a down payment on guaranteed failure.
Ooh,
and,
I like that one.
And to me, that sticks out a lot. And I think it's easy to live by, because obviously you never want to be the negative one. That's for sure.
So we noticed over this time, as we looked more India, you really enjoy going on podcasts and doing stuff like this.
Yep.
Have you ever considered starting your own, kind of doing the thing, like the Detroit Lions, Amon-Ra St. Brown does with his brother, having your own show like that?
I thought about it, but there's I look at time, I look at things like that. Maybe one day it'd be one of those things to get into and have all the guys I played with jump on here and there. But I never want to follow somebody who's already done it before. I'd want it to be different in my own way, which obviously I'd be able to do that, but I will see. Maybe down the road. If I'm quite ADD, so there's a chance that I go and hyper fixate on it for a while, and then it's like, I don't want to do that anymore, and I jump to something else.
Story of our lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you're always welcome to jump on. I kind of threw the idea to Brandon that we could just do the Walleye Weekly with you and have you give us the update throughout the week of how the games went and everything, like what we typically do. That's a little
that'd be
different.
like insider information. I don't even know if I'm allowed to do that.
That's probably not.
I could definitely jump on every once in a while if the fellas want, but that's every week would be probably a no with the team.
Yeah, that's fair.
I would say
like
so.
Aaron Rodgers doing his thing with Pat McAfee if he was playing at the same time.
Another one for you. So every locker room's got a music guy. Who's the music guy in Toledo?
I am the music guy, but I take requests.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your usual go-to style though? Before the requests come in.
But like weekday, we usually are a country type stuff for practice and things like that, and then games are always up tempo, whether it be rap, whether it be techno. Sometimes Oren Santado takes my phone and puts a bunch of stuff in the queue, and we just go from there. We're free flowing and we put on what everybody wants, except for Grant Gabriel. He doesn't get to choose.
Why? Why?
Just because I have a good time firing him up about his music.
What does he put on? What does he want to listen to?
I couldn't tell you. I don't. Half the time he's got his headphones on.
What's so there's a lot of youth in hockey, right? And growing the game is something that I think everybody wants. What is the best advice that you can give young players?
Have fun. There's no point in doing something if you're not having fun doing it. And my biggest thing for everybody is try to have that outlook when you're going to the rink. Like, I get to put my skates on. Like, this is going to be a fun day. Like, I get to go in 2 hours of not thinking about anything but putting that little black rubber thing in the net. Or if you're a goalie, keeping it up. And honestly, that's the way I try to do things here. Like, there's no bad day that I get to put my skates on. It really isn't. I'm going to be 30 years old and I get to go to the rink and I'm paid to put my skates on and go chase the little black rubber thing around the rink. Raise my arms when it goes in or do whatever, but it's how I've always wanted to do things. I've always wanted to play hockey. I've always wanted to have as much fun as possible no matter what we're doing. You could see me in random games. I just light up and I'm laughing for no reason, but it's just because I'm having such a good time. But no, for kids, it's like, just go have fun. Try to have as much fun as possible. If your coach is stifling your fun, then maybe they're probably not right for you. But youth hockey is all about fun, all about wanting kids to play more and more. And if those kids are having fun, you're going to get more and more to come play because they're going to their friends and being like, I have so much fun playing hockey. And then all of a sudden you get all the kids to go home telling their parents, well, I want to play hockey now. So-and-so said that they're having a great time every day when they go to practice. And then there you go. And then, obviously you get an influx of new kids that want to do it.
I like it.
The whole idea of the old school ways of being hard on kids at such a young age just burns them out by the time they're 15, 16 going into high school, and then they don't want to do it anymore. And it's sad to see.
Yeah, I agree
Can
with
I ask
that.
about another player?
Huh?
Can I ask
yeah, go
about a
ahead.
player?
Absolutely.
Riley McCourt.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I just have to ask because honestly, like every game I'm at, I laugh. At some point during the game, I am almost in tears from laughing.
Any of you guys have little brothers?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Are they annoying?
Oh yeah.
Like, I love them, but like, there's just like, you can't muzzle them.
Like last Saturday, he was waving to the Fort Wayne bench.
Like knowing, you mean Friday, no, it was Saturday. Saturday, knowing that the guys had to play him on Sunday. Like, it's just
He didn't know that, did he?
I love. He might not have known that at the time. There's a chance. Listen, I love him. He's a goofy kid, and he loves hockey. He loves running his mouth, in the best way possible. But he is definitely my annoying little brother that if I'll protect when I have to, but I know I'm going to have to.
Oh man.
One listener question we had was, who's your favorite athlete that isn't a hockey player? Because you've been asked your favorite hockey player, and it's Brett Hull.
Yeah, it'll be Brett Hull forever. Nice jersey in the back. I saw it already. It's why I wear number 16. I refuse to wear 17 because it was Henny's number.
That's what I figured.
Yep. Favorite athlete. All right, we got to go from two different eras because I got to grow up with two. All right.
Okay.
So when I was younger, I loved anything Michael Jordan, anything Tiger Woods.
Okay.
Those are my two favorite. They're winners. That's probably the best way to explain it. Both winners, both had that mentality where they had fun doing what they did and embraced everything, whether it sucked or whether it was great. They found a way to win. Today's world, it's tough to do now. I like Scotty Scheffler.
Okay.
Really like
Good
Scotty
choice.
Scheffler. Trying to think of ping guys because I've always been grew up with ping and anything of that sense. Bubba Watson was always fun to watch because he played the big mean cut. Baseball would have been Miguel Cabrera.
Yeah.
He was always big hitter, always fun to watch. Basketball would have been Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace, Chauncey Billups, Tayshaun Prince, Rip Hamilton, the OG Pistons.
Yeah.
No, but I guess if I'm looking up to an athlete in today's world, it's probably a Scotty Scheffler or something of that nature. I don't really watch much else. I watch football. I love how Mahomes wants to win no matter what he does. Obviously there's going to be things you don't like about people, but that guy's awesome, and I like what he does for everybody. He's just a good person.
Yeah, Scotty's a good choice.
Yeah. Scotty's a winner, and he's got my favorite footwork ever. Looks like a dancer.
I just have one last one, really, from me personally.
Go ahead, Travis.
What would it ultimately mean to not only you, but to the current group if you guys were the ones to bring the first Kelly Cup as in the current installment of Toledo hockey with the Toledo Walleye?
Would mean the world to us. I'd give a lot of things to be the first ones to bring that to the city. Trust me when I say that. And it was like a kick in the nuts when we lost it to Florida. It's a kick in the nuts to lose in the conference final to Idaho last year.
Yeah.
I hate losing more than I like winning. So to be part of the group that would bring that cup here to Toledo since the Storm would be awesome, especially because I talk to Ian Duncan like every other day, and he's always on me because I think he was one of the last guys to score 40 goals in Toledo. So he was always pushing me to get there, push me to get there, and push me to do things and things like that. So it was like to hear from those guys. Alex Hicks talks to me all the time. He played on the Storm. He's a captain here, and like he's the assistant captain or assistant coach for the Arizona State, their ice hockey team. So to have guys like that reach out and kind of learn and understand from them and understand how it was when they won, that's something we want.
Was it like an extra, like little bit of motivation that they had the ceremony for the Storm this year?
Yeah, I hated the first night, but I liked the second one. I wasn't happy the first night. But
Yeah, we won't bring that up.
Yeah. Yeah. Weird.
I
Another night I was trying to protect Riley.
Oh no.
Riley McCord. I'll protect him until I'm dead. That's just how I am.
So glad I brought that up.
Oh yeah. Last question I've got for you, man. This kind of goes off of what Travis just said. If you could say one thing to all the Walleye fans as you head into the playoffs right now, what would it be?
We need you. We don't do this without you guys. Plain and simple. It's a team effort here, a family effort. And every Walleye fan is family of this team, and that's kind of how we look at it. That's why it's such a close-knit community, and we don't win a championship here if it's not with the Walleye fans, period.
I love that.
I just want
Guys,
to buy a ticket now. Call
I know, right?
It makes you want to run through a wall.
Yeah.
Man, we can't thank you enough for taking time out of your day as you're getting ready to head into the playoffs, even to do this with us. This has been an absolute blast for all of us. I always give an opportunity to our guests at the end to shout out anything. If you have a charity you want to shout out or anything like that you got going on, man, this is your time to shout it out.
If you're around Toledo, DSAGT, the Down Syndrome Association of Greater Toledo, Acoustics for Autism, they're fantastic. If anybody's looking for a fun and awesome golf outing for an even better cause, look up the Gulch Memorial outing. It's at the end of summer. We do it at Bedford Hills. We sold out. I think we had like 180 foursomes last year. Oh yeah, like there's a lot of like carts, and they ran out of carts. That's a fun one. And then we're doing our own Paradise Everyday golf outing this summer. It's the inaugural one. It's our first ever. So if you're looking into something like that, I put it on my social page, and it's up on at Paradise Everyday 365 on Instagram.
I'm going to check that out.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, thank you for this. We appreciate it. And good luck, man. Go out there and crush it. We'll see you for sure in Kalamazoo. And who knows, maybe one of us will get down there to game 1 or 2 this weekend. So
perfect.
Thank you again.
I appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me on. Hopefully we'll definitely do this again down in the future.
Oh, for sure.
Appreciate it.
Perfect.
And welcome back, guys. That was a fun one, right? I think we all enjoyed that one. Hawk was a very fun person to talk to, not just about hockey, but about life.
Yeah, there was I told him, I was like, I've been watching a lot of your interviews, and we still like got new stuff out of him based off of like additions to the stories that he's told on the other podcast that we was on. So I appreciated that, getting a little bit more nuggets out of those.
Yeah, I think my favorite part was when I brought up McCourt.
Yeah, I'm really glad you brought that up because his reaction to that was just perfect. It was great. Yeah, it was a fun one. And like, we talked about leading into the interview. I've talked about going down to Toledo, and I was like, I'm not going to do that on Saturday. Then we get through his whole thing, and I'm like, I feel like I have to now. Like, guy made me want to go. He says, fans, we need you. Like, I felt that.
Yeah, Nick said right after, he's like, he looked me in the eyes and said, we need you.
Yeah, I felt that.
Even a little part of me decided maybe to call in on Saturday.
Wait, we won't tell your bosses that. We'll leave that out.
Yeah.
Nick said nothing. Yeah, no, thank you again to Brandon Hawkins for that. That was, again, one of the most fun ones we've had so far, and we look forward to hopefully doing more in the future with him, and wish him and the team nothing but the best of luck heading into these playoffs here, and hoping for a deep run, so we're not just talking about going to one game, we're talking about going to multiple.
Yeah.
So with that, boys, anything else to add to this Thursday episode? We got some big Griffins games coming up this weekend. We've got Friday in Iowa, and then Sunday to wrap up the regular season at home in the afternoon against the Admirals. So make sure you stay tuned for those. Those should be some interesting games to follow. But with that, we'll wrap this one up. So shout out to our sponsors first, Everything Hockey. Go to everythinghockey.com. Use code WEST to get 10% off your order. It is hoodie season with the way the weather is in Michigan right now. So make sure you head over there and pick up a nice one of their hockey lace hoodies. Shout out to DraftKings, our other sponsor. Make sure you're using code THPN the first time you're betting with them. Shout out to the Hockey Podcast Network for being great partners with us. Shout out to you guys for doing this on a Tuesday afternoon. That's when we're recording this, folks. And it's middle of the day. It's a beautiful day outside. We should be enjoying it, but we had to make sure we got all this out to everyone else. But with that, go Griffins, go Walleye, and we will talk to you all on Monday.
Love you. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Hockeytown West Podcast. Be sure to check us out on Twitter at HockeytownWPod and your host, Nick at GR Hockey Guy and Brandon at Brandon GR Hockey.